Asim Umar Dambule by my name. Government Science Secondary School, Basaura. So my expectation for this training is when we finish the training, I am expecting to put this training into consideration to practice with our students. To go and teach our students in order to become a meaningfully in a society. When we see nowadays the graduates are many and then without job to do. So this entrepreneurship will help our younger ones to have something to do without wasting their time or government job or without looking for government job. And then they will be trained. We that we have trained here, we go and train them in the school so that they know how to take their self and their own responsibility before they get government job.
Members of the press, good morning, Alhaji Ahmad. Good morning, distinguished teachers and guidance and counselor who's here with us. I think she's here to observe, given how excited she is about the program, and that makes me very happy. Thank you for taking the time to come here. For us, what we're doing today is very important in the grand scheme of education in Nigeria. And the Skills Outside School Foundation was founded 7 years ago, actually, by myself as an NYSC project. It wasn't enough for me, let me say, to simply participate in community development service, to go and serve in my place of primary assignment. I needed to do something that was personal to me. Coming from Borno State, which many of you know has suffered a lot from Boko Haram over the last few years, very impoverished, and significant challenges in education. Not just education, but economic progress, prosperity, high poverty levels, high illiteracy levels. So it was very important for me that we started to do something to spark that change. I come from a family of 7 girls, actually, no boy. So my wonderful father. And he always made us feel like we were the best children he could ever have. And I think it's important that all girls have the same exposure and experience. And it's only because I came from a home where my parents supported me that I had that. So again, it was important for me that every child, every young girl, every young boy, anywhere across Nigeria has the same types of opportunities, not just because of their socioeconomic background, but because they deserve it, because they have a potential and it must be brought out. And I think if we don't focus on our young people, if we don't find a way to get them productive, to get them skilled with the right type of attitude, with the right type of knowledge, we have a serious problem in Nigeria. And I think it's what has been driving a number of the issues that we see in society today. So that's what birthed Skills Outside School Foundation. Sorry, I'm going to just move around here. Education is a means to something. It's a means to an end. And what's that end? It's entrepreneurship or employability. You either get employed by somebody or you work for yourself. One of the two. And whatever education you get needs to help you get to one of these two answers at the end of the day. Whether it's at the end of the basic education at secondary school level, or you choose to go to university or polytechnic or a college of education, it shouldn't matter. Whatever form of education you get at any of these levels of education should enable you reach one of the two. And we believe if education is repurposed in this way, to give people the right type of, as I said, knowledge, skills, competencies, and attitude, very important, the mindset. I think this, for me, is the biggest gap in society today. We have a lot of skilled young people, a lot of highly educated young people from a knowledge perspective, but with a very bad attitude. And with that, they are not going to succeed. We're not going to succeed with that type of attitude. We have to be willing to do the right thing, push ourselves, want to be productive, not be looking at get-rich quick schemes and all these sorts of challenges we see in society. So this is the basic premise. And for us, what does this lead to at the end? A human capital that can drive the kind of development we want to see in Nigeria. It's very sad. I studied in the UK. And for me, it's very sad that we leave Nigeria, we go there, we see a better life, a better system, a better structure, and we don't wish it for ourselves. We have to want for Nigeria to be better than any other country in the world. And it requires people who care to drive the kind of change that we want to see, to build the kind of system that we want to see. And that's the kind of young people we want to be able to develop. And this is at the heart of what we do in SOSF. Our model is focused on 3 things: data, intervention, advocacy. We believe that for you to do any work in society, you have to have the data, you have to understand the context. The situation in Kebbi is not the same as Borno. This is my first time in Kebbi State. I'm from Borno State. We've been intervening in FCT. It was a whole set of learning for us when we came here. We had to partner with WEMA, as Charles had rightly said, and we saw Kebbi through their eyes. Because we're not from here, we don't intervene here, but they do. They've been working on the ground, they've been training people, skill acquisition, they've been working to build young people, they've been working to build adults, they work on environmental and climate change, sanitation, and a number of other projects that they've been doing. And because they work directly with the schools and with the State Ministry of Education and School Management Board, they were the right partners for us to work with. Now, we came here, the first thing we had to do was to do a baseline. We read a lot about Kebbi with the number of local governments, how many young people are out of school, how many teachers are trained. You know, all that is desktop data. We had to come on the ground to see for ourselves. What is Kebbi State? What is the real situation on the ground? So we picked 12 schools, 9 in Jega, 3 in Birnin Kebbi, to go and conduct research. We spoke to parents and guardians, we spoke to teachers, we spoke to the community leaders, we spoke to the students themselves to understand what are your challenges, what are the gaps. And a lot of that data that we got, Charles will speak to it later, there was very much challenges around young people not staying in school, not because they don't want to get an education, but there's a more pressing matter, which is to go and help their parents in the farm. So during the farming season, 2 of the schools we noticed had very low rates of attendance from the students because of a practical reality of life. Now, for somebody who's living in their high tower in Abuja, they will just say these young people don't want to go to school, but it's not true. They do want to go to school, but it's the difference between life and death. They have to focus on their livelihoods. So this is one thing we saw. Second thing, we realized that teachers, unfortunately, and this really pains me, and this is part of why we are focusing on the teachers. Teachers don't get any form of credit, they are not recognized, they are not incentivized, and they don't go through continuous professional development. They are left to their devices to do that for themselves, but the system needs to do that. If you look at the most advanced economies, the Finlands, the Swedens of this world, teachers get paid more than anybody else. They're one of the most highly paid professionals. They know that the teachers are the people who create all of us. I studied law, I'm an investment banker, but I'm also a development professional. I run the foundation. But it's teachers that got me here. So the education is at the bedrock of everything, and I think sometimes we forget that because it's easy to focus on the other sectors where things are tangible. You're building a road, you're building a bridge, you are setting up a medical facility, you are a doctor, you're saving lives. With education, with teachers, the work you do is so intangible. It takes years for you to see the impact. When I go back to my secondary school and my teachers see what I've become, they're so happy, but it took 10, 15 years for me to come back and show them the output of their work, and that can be very demoralizing, I think. So the system has to encourage and support teachers in that regard. So this was another thing that we noticed. Another challenge we saw was around lack of mentoring. Young people don't have enough role models in society. Unfortunately, their role models are, I don't have anything against it, but the Davidos, these new age comedians that we're seeing that are doing content on online, Mr. Macaroni and all these people that are, frankly, advertising and promoting things that are not healthy, like gambling, So these are the people they look up to. They don't have enough mentors. Some of these young people, they are the first in their families to get a formal education. If you're the first in your family to get a formal, who's going to advise you on what you should do with your life? So these are some of the challenges we see. Charles will speak more to that. So data is important, and it is what enabled us to say, okay, what we're implementing in FCT has to be very different from what we're going to implement in Kebbi, which will also be different when we go to Akwa Ibom or Rivers or wherever in Nigeria. And so that data is critical, and it's at the heart of what we do. That's why it comes first. Second is, I believe you need to put your money where your mouth is. You are gathering all this data, you are demeaning government, but what are you doing as a private citizen? What are you doing as a corporate? What are you doing as an NGO? You have to intervene, you have to go into the places that nobody else is going to go to. You have to do the work government cannot do. Government can't do everything. Even in other countries, you have strong private sector, you have strong NGOs that partner with government to do the work. So for us, where we see it is, we need to intervene. And if we can pilot something, then we can take the feedback to government and say, look at what we did in 12 schools in Kebbi. Why don't we work together to implement this so that every single school in Kebbi State will access this? For us, that's the model. If you don't show them proof of concept, you're just wasting their time because they have 1,001 priorities. They have to win an election. It's the fact. Lastly, is advocacy. So, on the advocacy side, it's not just about making noise and speaking, as I see a lot of development workers do. They just go and make noise and they say they're advocates. You're not an advocate, you're a nuisance. If you want to be an advocate, gather the data, do the work, and then go and advocate. Go and show the people who need to see that this is what's happening. And this is what we did in FCT. We got the initial approval. We started with 2 schools when I was doing my NYC, Wusi Zone 3 and Jabi. We got the approval from Secondary Education Board. They were very kind to give me a young copper, a chance to go and do experiment, with these young people. We started with 20 young people, fantastic young people, and when they saw what we did, they gave us approval to expand. So we went into 3 schools, then it became 7. Then we worked with all of the 60 plus schools in FCT. All thanks to the backing of the Secondary Education Board. And for me, this is the same thing I see here. We've done the baseline data because we want relevant stakeholders to see the data. We want to be able to work with other people who have the data. As I said, WEMA was an important point of contact for us. They gave us a lot of the preliminary information that enabled us to do that. And we want to also share our data. So if somebody else finds it meaningful, they can also continue the work in places that we cannot go to. And then, of course, to be able to share it, as I said, with the relevant public sector agencies so that they can leverage on the work that we're doing to make their work easier. To train young people on life skills, as well as teachers as well. And then we've also done capacity development training with the likes of Area I, the Brookfield Foundation, a number of organizations, British Council, that have invited us for roundtable seminars and sessions. So we've been collaborating a lot because we believe that solving the problems of Nigeria is not us alone. We have to work with other people and support the work that they're doing. We have some ambitious goals, of course. We want to reach the entire country in the next few years. We would like to also expand some of our work even beyond Nigeria because we think this is a gap that exists all across the continent. We have to, as I said in the beginning, jealously guard our continent. We must. Having spent 6 years getting an education in the UK, it's made me even more sure that we must change our country. I will not go and develop another person's country. I think even if we're going to go and get an education there, we must come back and fix the challenges in our country and make it better so that we can be proud of the country that we have. When you look at China 20 years ago, it was one of the poorest countries in the world. And look at what they've done, just based on the diligence, the dedication, and the skilling that they've done for their people over the last 20 years. As I said, we're mostly working in FCT. Now we're in Kebbi. Our team is currently in Adamawa doing baseline so that we can expand to Adamawa, and then lastly to Bauchi. We select states based on need, based on interest, based on donations as well to be able to expand the work we're doing. So we're very open. As I said, our dream is to go all across Nigeria. For me, the faster I get there, the better. And I hope I can see it before I die, because the clock is ticking. We never know when God is going to take our life away. But I would like to think that the foundation has grown to a point that, with or without me, it will continue. Because we built a solid team of people who really care about the work that we're doing, and we've gotten a lot of support. We're still always looking for more support to be able to do what we need to do. So about the project, if I just end on that note before Charles comes in. What is Bridge? Bridge is all about, it's 4 things: academics, life skills, career, technical, vocational, and enterprise, all 4. There's a reason we chose all 4. On the academic side, we have a real problem in Nigeria because most of us cram and passed. most of us. I barely remember what I learned in most of my subjects. When my nieces and nephews come to me now and ask me questions, I have to struggle to answer them because I realize I never really learned it, I just crammed it. That's the first issue. Second is supposed to learn authority. You're supposed to learn how to communicate. You're supposed to learn how to speak to your colleagues, your bosses, people who may be reporting to you. You are supposed to lead projects. You're supposed to pitch your ideas, negotiate. These are all skills nobody teaches us in the classroom. I didn't learn it. Some people may have been privileged, but I didn't learn it. And when I went to the UK and I started my A-levels, I looked around the room and I started to see that the young people there, they were very confident, the way that they had been trained was very much allowed them to be exposed to some of these skills. They had already had their first job by the age of 15, 14. They are learning how to integrate into society very early on. And it's a similar thing in Nigeria also, but we're doing it unconsciously. So when I think about some of my students, they've been having part-time jobs since they were 10, 11. They work in their mother's shop. They support their dad who's a mechanic. They make soho and sell. They make hair. These are all things that they do on the side that teaches them many skills: customer service, how to talk to people, how to manage your finances, how to even sell your products. But it's something that's subconscious. And we have to bring it to the fore so that young people are prepared for what life lies ahead. They graduate from university, from secondary school, and they're very unaware of what they need. For me, this is very shocking. In fact, it's a crisis. And I see this as somebody who noticed this in my NYC. Fast forward 8 years, the situation has only gotten worse. We hire NYC core members, we hire graduates. The level is poor. Just poor. It's a lot of work you have to do. And for us, we need to start early, which is why we put the life skills. The third one is career. Most people come up with careers in a very funny manner because my father said so. Because I grew up seeing him doing this job. He's a policeman, so therefore I want to be like my father. So, but that has nothing to do with it. So we have to make sure our young people are more aware of the opportunities around them, the career options for them, and so that they can make better informed decisions. Very, very important. For me, this is probably one of the most important aspects of the work we do in the Bridge program. And also preparing them for that career. They have to start early, they have to build their own skills. When I think about myself, my first job was when I was 15. I was working, I worked throughout my university days, except for my final year. So I made my own income. I made sure I bought the things I wanted to buy. I didn't have to go to my parents for pocket money. Beyond that, of course, I had to pay for my education. I was very aware of workplace dynamics very early. I started doing internships very early. I had mentors very early, all of which I did by myself. I just did it by myself because I wanted to push myself for better. And I think this is the kind of mentality young people don't have now. They expect, we finish, government will give us job. Buhari says young people are lazy, they're complaining. But it's a reflection of this kind of behaviors that makes comments like that happen. And truly, it does manifest in young people. So this is critical. Last but not the least, enterprise, technical, and vocational skills. Now, we do a lot of skill acquisition in Nigeria. Bead making, soap making, but nobody teaches you how to turn that into a business. It's one thing to know how to make beads, it's another thing to be able to sell the beads. So for us, the technical and vocational is important, yes. We should teach them those skills so that they have other skills that they can pursue if they choose to be entrepreneurs. But more importantly, the enterprise skills are important. The ability to be able to brand your product, how to market it, where do you even find your customers? How do you know this bead you're making is better than the other beads in the market? How do you finance it? How do you manage your money so that you can be able to create a business out of this? All of this is what we teach them in the enterprise, technical, and vocational skills. Now, levels of unemployment that we see in Nigeria and the economic issues that we have in the country, We see SOSF, Skills Success School Foundation, as an avenue to address the issues of unemployment and unemployability by making sure people get the right type of education that can enable them, become entrepreneurs or to work for others.
Why did you decide to choose teachers as trainees, first trainees?
Yes, so we've been working with volunteer trainers actually over the last 7 years, 7 to 8 years, and we've realized that really the focus should be on the teachers, because the teachers are the ones who are trained to be able to deliver curriculum. They are the ones who have the experience of understanding how to manage classrooms. They're the people who see what these young people go through. They are also the type of people who have the capabilities to be able to really understand some of the difficulties that are occurring in our today's society, thereby ensuring that when we train the teachers, they can now step down the training to the students, either through their subjects, but also through the clubs that we set up. So for us, we think also from a sustainability standpoint, working with the teachers is the most effective way of really ensuring that learning in the classroom enables young people to be better entrepreneurs, or whether they go and work for others in the future. Working in FCT for a very long time, we've also intervened in 15 other states across the country, but we really wanted to spend the time to support the northwest part of the country, primarily because of some of the issues that you've been seeing with insecurity and other such challenges. And Kebbi was an interesting state for us to start with, given that it has actually the highest rate of out-of-school young people in Nigeria, but also tuition is free. So you would be wondering why so many young people are out of school. So that discrepancy is what really pushed us to come here. We also had a very wonderful donor supporter, Mrs. Zulkifl Abba, who was willing to support the funding of the initiative. So those were all the reasons why we chose to come to Kebbi.
The next section, which is introducing the Bridge program. So, well done everyone. So we are moving on to the next agenda, which is an overview of the Bridge program. Right, so Bridge is one of the interventions of Skills Outside School Foundation. Yeah, so the Bridge program, it exposes youth in government secondary schools through workshops, or we see club sessions, to deployed by teacher trainers. So that's why you're here. You're not a teacher trainer that will deploy the Bridge Skills and Career Club in your respective schools. So the Bridge program exposes these young adults in government secondary schools to the following skills listed here, which are the life skills development, the career awareness and development skills, the academic skills, technical and vocational skills. So other activities include the social change project. Because after the Bridge club, so we select students from SS1 and SS2 to undergo the Bridge program. So before they get to SS3, because we don't want to distract SS3 students, by then they will be writing their exams, so the SSC exams. So that's why we restricted to SS1 and SS2. By then, before they get to SS3, they would have been well equipped with these relevant skills. And then at that stage, we're expecting them to practically implement what they've learned over these 2 years. So that's basically what the Bridge program is all about. So at schools, we call it the Bridge Skills and Career Club. So the skills aspect is listed, and then the career awareness. So we also want our students from right when they are in secondary schools, they should make deliberate efforts towards their careers. So that's why we're introducing that. So other activities include the social change project. So after undergoing this Bridge Club from SS1, SS2, then at SS3, we're expecting to see them implement what they've learned. So that's where we want to see the social change project, social enterprise. What you've learned from Bridge, how would you implement it in your community? You see that around, okay, it's about raining, and then the drains are blocked. You know, we encourage our students, if you find one problem in your environment, it's like just a little project that you do that will make much impact. So we want to take away their psyche about being self-centered and then considering their environment, the larger populace, solving problems that will benefit not just you, but the society. Yes, so if, a child will say, okay, today I'm mobilizing my youth, my peers to clean the drains in the society, the community. You see, to bring about sanity when rain comes, there won't be flooding. So we encourage students to engage in social enterprise, social change project after they've gone through the Bridge Club. So the objectives of the Bridge Skills and Career Club, they are listed as follows. So one is to expose young adults to basic life skills, academic skills, enterprise skills, career awareness, and development skills, technical and vocational skills. Because from the outcome of our baseline, we discovered some of the students want to learn the mix, that's the larger percentage of the students from the baseline. We carried out the baseline in 12 schools, and we got responses from 672 respondents. So we'll go into that much later. So, but the outcome from students, they showed, the larger percentage showed they prefer to learn with a mix of English and the pidgin and the local dialect, which is Hausa. And at this point in time, we discovered that, yes, when you teach students in the language you understand, it sticks to their brain, they can apply it, as compared to when you teach further math with English, you know, that's further math with English and it's battling with English first. And then you're bringing the math in English is another problem. So the outcome showed that yes, there's a need. Okay, so there's a need for us to also adopt the literacy and numeracy, which is why we're partnering with WEMA, that's the Women and Youth Initiative for Moral Awareness, and also we are seeking more partnership with the likes of Oga Alaji, yes, TAL, because they are experts in that aspect, in that area. We give that is nothing we can debate. So we're seeking partnership with organizations that have done this over the years. So we deploy this to our students because we want to see real impact of what we're doing. We're not after the numbers, like Oga Alaji have said. We're after seeing the real impact. Okay, these students, they have undergone the Bridge program. At the end of the day, they should be able to practicalize this. At the end of the day, they should be able to implement this enterprise skill they learned, the life skills they learned during the Bridge program, the technical and vocational skills they learned. These are skills that would help them after school, that will help them self-sustain, that will help them prepare them for the labor force or even employers of labor. Yeah, so that's why we need them to invite that. Practicalize that. Also, one of the objectives is to build human capital that drives socio-economic change in their communities, or in the communities rather, not in their communities. So we want to see, we want to build human capital that will drive socio-economic change in the society at large. We have a lot of youth in Nigeria, graduates at different levels, unemployed. But there are opportunities. For instance, during COVID, a lot of millionaires emerge in Nigeria. In the world, a lot of billionaires emerge. So, you know, some people take advantage of the challenges to make money. So, we want to build those human capital that would see some of the disadvantages, the challenges Nigeria is facing, and turn it around to their benefit. So that is what SOS is all about. We want to build human capital that would also contribute to the socio-economic development of this country. By the time all those unemployed Nigerian youth contribute in one way or the other, carries out those economic activity, the GDP of this country will improve. They themselves will be self-sustained. Security will be guaranteed. We won't have the issue of, so that is what, that's one of our objectives. Also, we deliver a long-term sustainable, holistic and data-driven intervention that ensures positive impact on beneficiaries. So the way our program is structured, it's not just we come, we train teachers, after this training, We give you the materials to deploy the program in your schools, and we go. We do retraining, right? We follow on, we do retraining, we do MIE, we make sure at every point we monitor and evaluate the progress. That way we know the challenges, we know the successes, and it helps us improve further. And in the sustainability aspect, because how SOS is structured, it is not like when our founder is no more, today, and SOS is gone. No. SOS is structured such that wherever we go to implement, we liaise with key stakeholders. You can see TAL team are here, the Agency for Mass Literacy is on its way. We are also in the talks with the Ministry of Education, Secondary School Management Board. So these are sustainability approach we've taken, such that okay, we come to a state, this is our program, this is how it's been structured. Okay, so what kind of structure do you have in place? Because the state government has the structure in place, and they need to permit us, they need to allow us for this program to be successful. So we partner with them, deploy this program, and such that when we are going, the state government can easily adopt it. Adopt it in the sense that we're not bringing a body to them. We're not bringing a body that will have, like, okay, see, it will increase the expenses on the state. So in terms of expenditure, they incur more cost or salary, or they have to print or train teachers, right? But we're bringing a sustainable project that the state can adopt and implement in the schools. So that's why we're using the teachers. Because we're in those respective schools. If we say, okay, we want to train people that will be moving around weekly to go deploy this program, it will never be successful. But as teachers that you're in these respective schools, you know your students, you're there with them, this 10, first time, second, always till you graduate from that school. So you'll be able to deploy this program. That's why we are working with the state government and the teachers and other partner organizations to deploy our programs. So secondly is to provide young adults opportunities through mentorship. So just like my board chair mentioned, we have pool of mentors. And how SOS mentors is, our mentors and mentees don't even have a physical contact. Some of our mentors are from the US, UK, they don't have a physical contact with the student. A lot of mentors have trained students, have paid scholarship for ambassadors, but they've never seen them. They've paid for them to look for courses, bought them laptops to help them. So according to the need of the mentee, the mentor filled in. And it's structured such that our mentors are professionals. I cannot come now and say, okay, I want to pair you with a mentee. And then I want to now increase, you have your job you're doing. So I wouldn't want you to say, you have to pay attention to this mentee. You have your job to do, and then, so we structure our mentoring program in such a way that the mentor doesn't feel overburdened with work. He and the mentee, they relate and find convenient time. The mentee will reach out to him. Is it via email? Is it via phone call? Is it via text message? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Like that. So once it's time, your mentee will come to you and then seek for your advice. Because we see that is very important, because you're experienced. So we need those experiences to be passed on to the mentees, to the students. They are coming up. And we discovered that when mentees take the mentors take the student, they mentor the student, the time limit they will take to progress will be shortened. Like me having going through the various stages of learning without a mentor, it took me a longer time than if I had a mentor. That's why we saw mentoring as a key. Aside deploying the program in the school, they will also be paired with mentors. That's one of our objectives. So the key goal here is we want to see a world with productive human capital, driving transformational socio-economic development globally. So it's not just in Nigeria. Like I mentioned, our mentors are all over the country, all over the the state in Nigeria. So that's it. So this what we do, like the life skills development I mentioned. These are some of the components of the life skills: the literacy, teamwork, leadership skill training, critical thinking, communication, problem solving. All these are basic life skills we want our students to have, because when they have these skills, they really will not, some of these skills are soft skills that are not taught in the classroom, but they need it, because when they come out of school, these are skills employers will be looking out for. How do you communicate in the workplace? How do you solve problems? Because every employer that wants to pay you salary, he has a problem. So he wants you to come in as a staff and solve the problem. If you're not solving an employer's problem, then you won't stay long there. He will easily relieve you. So we want to see our students have the skills, the life skills, the career awareness and development skills. How aware are our students about their careers? What structures are there in place that would influence their careers? I'm sure you saw it in the pre-test. So those are some of the reasons. We want to know, are there other factors that influence students' career choice? Is it their parents? Is it okay because of some of the industries around them? Okay, there is hospital here, and I see how doctors are. I like it, I want to be a doctor. Or okay, because of the agriculture, Kebi, if it's rice farming, I will give it to Kebi. Is it okay? Because of the lucrativeness of agriculture, I want to go into agriculture. But mind you, before you go into it, there are other skills you need to adopt. If not else, you'll be farming and then running at a loss. But when you are applying knowledge to it, you farm a little portion and you get more harvest. So there are improved farming techniques that when you adopt it will. So we want to see students, want to also encourage them to take deliberate effort towards their career. Yeah, so academic skills, like I mentioned, the literacy and numeracy skills, which is key for KEBI. We're adopting that to implement our program in KEBI. Yeah, so it's key coming from the outcome of our baseline. So also technical and vocational skills. That will be taken tomorrow, on Wednesday rather. Tomorrow will be literacy and numeracy. Yeah, so technical and vocational skills also, we want to also imbibe the skills in our students. We have a lot of skills that they should adopt, they should learn while in school. We encourage ambassadors that even in school you should have a little business. If you have ICT skill, you can help your colleagues in his class type projects and get paid. Activity will still incentivize them with airtime incentives. We do book review. We bring out a book every end of every last Friday of the week. We review a book. Wednesdays we do a piece. Thursdays we collate resources and share with ambassadors. So we create scholarships, internships with our partner organizations. When we bring out scholarships, we share with our ambassadors. Some apply and get it. Internships. So while they're in school, we also adopt in the organization we have interns, students, so that they will get the work experience while they're in school. So when they graduate, they are work ready. So we provide those internship opportunities. We also liaise with other organizations and they get internships. So on Thursdays we share opportunities like that with them. On Monday we motivate them to kickstart the week. Then put them in high spirit that okay, we need to get to work. Today is Monday. If you're in school, you need to concentrate and come out top of your class. And on a Tuesday is the day we set aside for ambassadors to showcase the business they do. When they post on the platform, they do the pastry, you make cake, you bake meat pie, and so on. You post on the group, we will pick it from there and post on all our social media platforms. So that way all the large followership we have will see these wonderful things our ambassadors are doing. And from there, call will begin to come in. Okay, I have an location, come and do pastry for me, come and bake cake, or you sell, some of them sell clothes, they retail clothes. You know, people will see them online and then order. So those are some of the opportunities we do with our ambassadors. Thank you. So basically, the life skill I mentioned, the communication, interpersonal skills, critical thinking, problem solving, all those are the life skills we're talking about. to the career awareness and careers and development skills. So this is just to prepare the students career-wise, right? So this is depending on the outcome of the baseline. Okay, to ascertain its needs. Okay, so emphasis are made. Okay. So the career awareness and skills development, like I mentioned, is just to prepare our ambassadors, I mean our rich skills and career club students, prepare them to make a deliberate effort towards their career, an intentional effort towards their career. Whatever you want to become in life, you have to make deliberate effort. There are sacrifices you need to make, and then to pursue those careers. So we want to create those awareness, okay, and expose them to the relevant industries so that they will make an informed decision, not that someone would impose it on them. But sometimes our parent will say, okay, I want you must become this, while the real talent of the child, what the skills the child has, is not towards that career. And he might venture into what the parent had suggested for, but he won't succeed if he had gone for what his skill set are. So those are some of the things the career awareness and development skills we cater for. So the academic skills I mentioned, there are the literacy and numeracy skills, and we also encourage our students, not just our club shouldn't interfere with your studies. Our club is part of your studies. We encourage you, if you want, or we don't mind all our students coming on first. All of them taking first in their classes or A's to A all their courses in school. So we encourage them to perform excellently in school. Technical vocational skills, like I mentioned, we encourage them to pick one or two of those skills available. And then the enterprise skills, yeah, so we have a lot of enterprise trainings we deploy for our ambassadors, and even while they are rich skills and career club students, their enterprise training they will undergo, and then there are pitch events. Now when they come up with business ideas, they come and pitch to funders, and then they get funding to kickstart their business or scale their businesses. So the social chain project, we mentioned earlier, series are organized at the end of the project cycle to allow participants to apply the skills they have learned in presenting the solution to the challenge. So we don't just allow them to go after skills, and you must do a social chain project. Out of all those skills you've learned, the life skills, the enterprise skills, the technical vocational skills you've learned, how would you implement it? So you have to implement it within your community. You don't have to do something within in the local government or in the state. Just start with your community, as little as that, or even in your house, as little as that. So we encourage, that's what we encourage them to do. So these are the listed life skills, the Bridge program is focusing on. There are a lot of them. So we have the communication, problem solving, critical thinking, leadership, self-management, confidence building, citizenship development, leadership skills. Because we see that we all see how the country is going, and it is a fallout of lack of some of these skills imbibed those leading us. Because if they had, seen Nigeria as it belongs to all of us, so therefore, as a leader, you have to cater for everyone. It's not when you get there and then you embezzle everything on behalf of us. So we want to imbibe those leadership qualities in students. When you get there, you have to, this is how you act as a leader, this is how you should behave as a leader. We want to also imbibe that in them. Citizenship. As a Nigerian, you should be proud of your country. Yes, we've seen how a lot of people, if they're given the opportunities, they want to leave the country. You'll still come back. No matter where you still come back. When you age, you still come back. When you made the money, you still come back to this country. So why not promote your own country, Some will still have the mentality of patronizing if the product is not coming from outside of Nigeria, it's not of quality. So how will the Nigerian market grow? How will the Nigerian entrepreneurs grow? So we want to build that in our students. So the mentoring I mentioned, we have the one-on-one mentoring we talked of. So we assign a student, that's a mentee, to a mentor. And then there's a structure of our mentoring program. It's not physical. We want to avoid the mentor taking advantage of the mentee. We want so everything goes smoothly. It should just stay at mentoring. That is why it's not even remote. We prepare a student in this school with a mentor in Abuja, with a mentor in the US. So they don't even see themselves. Okay, they might at most do a video call. The mentor might call, okay, schedule the time. This is when I'm free. You can call me, and the mentors the mentee. So it's not a physical mentorship. And then the mentor can mentor from any part of this world. So it's not restricted that, okay, I'm not in Nigeria or I'm not in Kebbi State, so I cannot mentor. So that's the essence. That's how we structure our mentoring program. So the career mentoring open day I talked of, where experienced people come to share their experience on a particular day with students. So students get to meet with experts on that day. They share their experience with them and learn from it. Creative corner showcase. Okay, so students showcase all the products they designed, e.g. beads, clothes, handmade, handbags and all that. So these are other activities that is also in the Bridge program, all targeted at improving our students. So the social change project we've been hammering on is still coming up again. And then, so we also share career resources with students. So the career resources, when we're trying to develop our career resources into tablets, where students will get to see some of these resources, like a day in the life of a professional. So a doctor will do a video of what it means to be a doctor, not sitting in his room, but a real life situation in the hospital. When you go online, you click a day in the career of a day in the life of a doctor, or a day in the life of a neurosurgeon. You see it comes up. So you see a video like a picture, emotion picture of that person, that profession, carrying out the profession. He's a doctor, you see him, okay, he's going into the theater, this is what he does, like a normal day of a doctor. So we see that encouraging students to pick, to make career choice. So we also develop those resources. Career insight opportunities, we take them out to this organization to have real work experience. Yeah, so this is 3 next step. Where I said, okay. So we do a refresher training with SS3 on employability skills, because we're trying to prepare them for life after school. So skills for change projects, to provide a platform for participants to apply and demonstrate the newly acquired skills they've learned through a social change project, whereby each student is required to identify a social problem, profile an innovative solution, and present a plan of action to implement the solution. So we also encourage the students to carry out this skill for change project. So each of our students will carry out this skill for change project. And then SOSF Connect. So it's a platform which is after the completion of the Bridge program, our alumni, who are referred to as ambassadors, the ambassadors I mentioned the activity we do with them. So that's where we connect with them. We don't just leave them after the Bridge Skills and Career Club. It's a continuous learning. We follow them all through their career path. So continuous education, entrepreneurship support. So like we have what we call the West Online Skill Up for Business. This is where it's a course where they come, they go through the course, and then get mentorship after the training, and then get certificates and pitch to funders also. So at the end of the training, they get to meet funders and pitch their businesses to funders and get funding to scale their businesses. So then we have in my career, my education. This will enable participants to explore subjects they like the most, their interests and passions, what course they would like to pursue at tertiary level. So this is just preparing students to choosing subjects combination for a chosen career. Sometimes you see that our students don't even know this is the career they've chosen, but they don't know the subject combination to fill for JAM. They don't know the subject. The objective of the highlight of the skills I will learn. The objectives of my career, my education are to, okay, one, is to explain the importance of revision techniques, okay, how students to prepare for exams, prepare them for exams, revision, career revision, how to answer questions during the exams and all that. So this is centered at preparing students for examination, for matriculation, the post-UME and all that. So this is centered at preparing students for all those purposes. And then it also explains the basis for choosing a career or a course. So why do a student want to venture into a chosen career? He should have a basis. It shouldn't be, okay, just because he sees everybody becoming a lawyer and he wants to be a lawyer. It should be a passion, it should be that he has a skill set. Yeah, so we have what we call the psychometric skill test, where you answer, and then the psychometric test, based on the responses those students. Even as a teacher, when you give responses to them, and then it has a grading criteria. When it grades you, it now categorizes you into a particular profession. And you see that deep inside you, if you're sincere to yourself, you see that you fall into that category. You call it psychometric test. So it's part of the compendium we're sharing it. So the students are free to just go through it, they apply it to themselves, they grade themselves and see that, okay, this is actually the skill set I have. The questions will not even be targeted at a particular profession, but it's kind of a fallout of a profession. It's just trying to inquire. But it's not straightforward that they will understand that this one is centered towards science or this one is centered towards art. Yes. So, and then the expected outcomes of this, my career, my education. At the end of the unit, I will expect participants to enumerate revision techniques. So the teacher trainers will enumerate the revision techniques to the students, determine their tertiary education institution choice. So they should make an informed decision which tertiary institution they are applying for further studies, and then determine opportunities to sustain themselves whilst awaiting admission and during tertiary education. So at all times, we encourage our students after school, during the break, engage in something, do something. Just find something to do that will benefit you, learn a skill. Today online there are so many platforms you could learn different diverse skills. ICT skills, coding, name it, any skill you want to learn, free of charge. So we share with the ambassadors, during our ambassador connect, we share the site with them, we go on there, learn a skill free of charge, we encourage them during strike, pick up something, learn, don't just stay idle. You're adding value to yourself. So when you go to the labor market, you're well equipped and you're marketing.
To feel into learning. Generally. So, from your presentation, I heard you, if I'm not mistaken, you said this program only affects SS1 and SS2. You are starting with SS1, then later SS2, or you are starting with them combined. Okay. So, how long does this program last? Is it 2 years or 3 years or 1 year? That is my first question. And the second one, you know, when you dance to the right, they say sometimes you have to dance to the left. So you have been giving a lot of things to this our humble children. So with regard to mentoring, they are going to engage with a mentor, between mentor and mentee. So who will bear the cost? The cost of that discussion? Because you say it is going to happen virtually. So who will bear that cost? That is my second question. And also last one, maybe I'm going to jump into the shoes of my colleagues here, teachers. How many participants do you expect from each school? Because I believe you cannot take the whole SS1 and all. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the questions. SS2. So it's like a 1 year, a whole complete term in SS1, you do a whole complete term in SS2, and move on to SS3 next step. So the next step is just like a revision of those 2 years. So it's like a 2 years cycle. Yes, it's like a 2 year cycle. So you start from SS1, SS2, and then SS3 you do revision of you. Yes, sir. So the second question.
The number of students.
Okay, the number of students, yes.
The cost of
Okay, the cost of mentoring, yeah, this discussion between mentors and mentee. So before we onboard a mentor, then we have an onboarding process. There's a form he fills, it states all the conditions for mentorship. The conditions you must, if you're okay with it, you sign. If you're not okay with it, you decline. So the conditions state how many students can you mentor. If you say you want to mentor 100 students, because it's remote, we attach it to 100 students. And then it's up to you to discuss with your mentees when you'll be interacting with them. And then the platform will use to interact with them. Some they will choose email. Yeah, because they are too busy, they don't want phone calls. Okay, you can email me during the weekend. I will check your needs. So that's how we design it. So the mentees are informed of, we actually advise there's no much cost, unless when you see need, and then you have the opportunity to help out. But it's basically mentorship, transfer of knowledge, because you've had experience over the years, and then you are in the right position to pass on this knowledge to the younger generation. So what they need most from us, from mentees, mentors rather, is those advice, those mentors, those guidance. And then the cost. The mentee before we onboard you would know that, okay, you would, if it's a phone call, at least once in a month, you would want to call your mentee. If you can sacrifice that, it's part of the onboarding process. You consent to that, yes, maybe in a week, I'll call the mentee, check up on him, advise him on his career and all that. Yeah, so that's how it's structured. There's an onboarding process that every mentor will go through, and if he's okay with it, he signs and returns it. So and the last is the number of students, right? So okay, yes. So during our baseline, we marked. Yeah. So each school we marked 30 students. So in the 12 schools we'll be doing 360 students. But we discovered that because of the baseline, the outcome of the baseline, those key outcomes which we'll discuss later, made us step back a bit to how to prepare for like the literacy and numeracy component, which we were not deploying as an organization. So, but the baseline showed that we need to adopt this as part of our implementation process. And because we are cautious and that we want to make impact, not just impact of numbers, but real impact that we see people's life being transformed. That's why we have to step back, partner with organizations. We are still writing more. Like you see Oga Alaji here, we are still writing more to TAB, written to FHI 360 to get some of their career resources for the Rana project, and so many organizations. So like WEMA also, they are also experts in literacy and numeracy. So that's why we're partnering with them to deploy that. So because of that delay, we now saw that we've missed a calendar. We cannot just pick the SS2 now, I'm not going to SS3. So that's why we're increasing the number of SS1 to be, we're doing 50 for this year. So when we enroll them for 50, it ends at 2023. Now, yes. So they're in SS1, they're about going to SS2, and then we take them from this SS1 third term to their SS3. I mean, their end of SS2. There's an SS3, they do SS3 next term, and then there's a scholarship. There's a criteria for all those selections, that's why we do regular M&E. So there's a scholarship that will be given to some of the students who perform excellently well. There's a criteria to grade them. There's a criteria for every selecting the student, because we cannot absorb, just like Ola asked, we cannot absorb everyone into the club. So there's a criteria for selection of the each participant. Thank you.
Facilitators and organizers of this great occasion, allow me to stand on the existing protocol. Before then, let me introduce myself. I'm Sani Ali Mohammed, the Deputy Director of Parents and Counseling, Ministry of the readiness of staffs, because I believe this is a master training that is underway, which you are going to disseminate it downwards to the pupils or the students around. It is aimed or prior to this, is dimly upon us to run a program on skills and career clubs, where 12 secondary schools are selected, 9 from Jega to be precise, and 3 from Birnin KB, that is KB State here. I believe that this NGO has foresight for choosing this great institution, Army Day Secondary School, as their stepping stone or rendezvous for great opening of this very course. This course is aimed to upskill teachers, train efficient teachers in order to restrain or to protect the ethics of professionalism in teaching profession. Prior to this, we are throwing more kudos to all the NGOs that were keen and very present towards this, which are Women and Youth for Moral Awareness, that is WEWA, Skill Outside School Foundation, that is SOFA, and the general public for their audience. Permit me to hand over this mic to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much.
We have to take a step back and help these kids discover themselves. Who are you exactly? Who are you? Who are you? That's the first question, and I have it here. Who they are is a combination of many things. Facts. I'm a boy, I'm a girl, I'm from Kebbi, these are things you can't change, whether you like it or not. So I can say I'm a young girl and I want to do something that inherently is really for men. I'm just fighting nature. The same way, my values are also very important. If everybody around me lies, I would think lying is okay. If all my parents do is fight and shout at each other, I would think that's normal. So all those things is what shapes these young people to be who they are. This is what. The second thing is, what do they want to be? What do they want to be? What do they want to be? Now, as I said, for many of us, it's just based on what we see in society or from our parents or something that makes us say we want to do what we want to do. But why? Why? That question, why, must be asked. Which takes me to the third point. Why do they want to do it? It has to be a combination of many things. Passion, interest, ability, needs. You can be very passionate about something, but if you don't have the capacity to do it, there's a problem. Similarly, if you're able to do something, doesn't mean that you will necessarily be passionate. So for instance, when I got to SS2, all my teachers told me was I should become an engineer or a doctor. Why? Because they thought I was smart enough to do it. But I told them I'm not passionate about it, I'm not interested in it. I may have the capability, but I don't have the passion or interest. Similarly, you could want to do something, you could have the ability, but it doesn't meet your needs. Because maybe it's not marketable, maybe nobody wants to pay for it, maybe it's just not the right time for you to do it. And those are realities that we have to tell these young people. And sometimes when you read all these things about people who follow their passion, follow their dream, and it almost sounds surreal, but we have to contextualize it in our society. People have to exist, people have to survive. People have difficult situations. Every day things are changing in Nigeria. It's not easy. So it's important that whatever they have a passion and interest for is something that meets their needs as well. And then lastly, is that they have to ask themselves, how will I get there? How will I get there? So I have a passion, I have the ability, and I know it will meet my needs if I'm a medical doctor. How do I become a medical doctor? I have to be in science class, first of all. I have to be able to write my chemistry, biology, mathematics with the compulsory English in my job. I have to go and study medicine, not anatomy, not physiology, not biomedical sciences, medicine. It's specific. But there could be other degrees or professions, let me say, like accounting. Let me give I shouldn't even say that. Banking and finance. I was a science student up to SS3. In my A levels, I did economics, further mathematics, chemistry. I studied law. Totally out of it. I finished law and I moved back into banking. I practiced only 1 year in my life of law. I have not even been to law school. Now, if I wanted to be a banker from the beginning, it therefore means that I didn't have to study banking and finance. I didn't have to study accounting. In fact, with my law degree, I'm more marketable to my company because everybody they have there is an accountant or a banker. But I come with a different mindset. I bring my legal background. If I can still do the same work, for them, it's 2 in 1. It's almost like you've hired 2 professions in 1 person. So it's more valuable to them. So these are some of the things we have to help our young people understand, is that there are many paths to the same answer. There are very, very few professions nowadays that you need to go to university for. Medicine, yes, law, engineering, there are some professional courses you have, but accounting, banking and finance, design, IT, graphics, entertainment. You don't even have to study a day in the university or college of vocational or polytechnic. So those are the things they'll have to explore under the processes. What is the best way for me to get to the answer that I'm trying to get to? So this exercise is one of the first things that we always encourage our young people to go through. Because once they go through it, and it's an iterative process, it's not fixed, it will change. You do it this year, you do it 2 years later, it will be a different story. But it's important they constantly do that so that they constantly refresh themselves and remind themselves of everything they need to know in terms of who they want to be, what do they want in this life, and why do they want that thing? Does it meet their passion, interest, wants, and needs? Now, under why it matters, this is another common issue with our young people. Why do you want to study this course, or why do you want to start a business? Just to make money. Just to make money, just to make money. But that's not a good answer. Because if all they want to do is make money, they will never sustain it. The hard times will come and they want to give up. So it's important the purpose is deeper for them. It's like what I was saying for me. Why do I run Skills Outside School Foundation? Because I came from a background where I was very privileged. I had a mother that was in education for 30 plus years. All I ever heard in my life was, why did you get a B? Why not an A? You need to do better. Why are you struggling with something? You should be studying your books. There was no space for me. And I respect my mother till today because that is what had given me the discipline that I have today. So I was very lucky. In addition to that, I had 6 sisters before me who made all the mistakes and made sure I didn't make the same mistakes. So I was very lucky in that regard. And I got the type of education that has made me who I am today. So for me, I feel it is our obligation, those of us who are better off, to make sure other people who didn't choose the kind of lives that they have should have the same level of education, same type of life, regardless of their socioeconomic background. That's my deeper truth. And that's what keeps me going, that's what has kept me going for the last 8 years. So all these students have to have a meaning that is so deep. No matter what happens, whether somebody tries to kill them, somebody tries to bribe them, it never changes. Why? Because they have a solid belief in that purpose and mission that they have in their lives. So it's important that we push them, because money is just a tool to do things. But why are you really doing it? What will make you wake up at night to do this thing? What will make you keep going if times come hard? So this is this. Now, I have teachers, because really, when I look at my life, there's no way I would have been who I am without them. There's so many of them. My chemistry teacher, Mr. Kent, who actually I work with now, incidentally. And when I think about my math teachers, my English teachers, all these subjects that students find difficult is really because of the way our teachers teach us, and we end up, overcoming them. But beyond that, I think it's the values that they teach us: resilience, patience, wisdom, all those pieces of advice that enabled us to become successful. So this is very nice to hear, and I think it's important that these students go through this exercise very early on, and you will see that in some of the lesson plans that I think we developed in the curriculum that we'll share shortly. Now, if I move to entrepreneurship versus entrepreneurship. I'll start with entrepreneurship. So we spoke about this. Who is an entrepreneur? Anybody who's adding value, who's helping the business of another entity other than their own. They see it as their own, yet it's not their own. Very important. This for me is probably one of the most important ones because no matter what we say about entrepreneurship, the vast majority of students that graduate from the classroom will be going to work for others. So if we're not producing the type of people who have the capability to add value, we will have a serious problem. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. It's not everybody that is keen or even has the capacity to start their own business. So it's very, very important that we ensure our young people are entrepreneurs, and we'll talk a bit about that. I always hammer on this: knowledge, skills, and attitude. Knowledge, skills, and attitude. Now, what makes you an entrepreneur? That you create value for somebody else. You do something of value for the company. You work for Shell. You work for Army Day Secondary School. You work for Equity FM. You work for the state hospital. Wherever it is that you work, you add value in whatever it is that you do. Whether you are a doctor, you are an admin person, you are a reception, and it can be something as small as, just an example. Sometimes you go to the bank, and the way the customer service person speaks to you tells you something about the organization. That this person is not even being trained. Sometimes, even worse, you see their supervisor standing by them as they are talking to you in that manner. They analyze you to determine what kind of customer are you. If you're not a big-time customer, they just treat you anyhow. That already, as a customer, gives you an impression about that bank. That person is not being an entrepreneur because they are not giving value to the bank. The supervisor that's letting them behave like that is also not an entrepreneur. Now, if the head of the bank saw them, he'll be very unhappy. If the owners of the bank saw them, they'll be very unhappy because they're not taking the business as their own. They're not seeing that in that moment, by talking to you the way they have done, they've actually destroyed value. It may also mean that you would say, I don't want to be in this bank again. I want to close my account and go. That means you've lost a customer, lost revenue for them. So you've affected their profitability. So again, it's important that as an employee, you're not just thinking about the value, you're also thinking about the profitability of the business. How is what I'm doing helping this company make more money or save more cost? Make more money, save more cost is one of the two. So whether you are somebody who's, as I said, this person that's in customer service, they have nothing to do with accounts. They're not collecting deposits from you. It's not their job to collect deposits. But what they've done by that act is to lose business, which has affected revenue, even though their job is actually not revenue. So it's those kind of connections that I think we need to help our young people see. That whatever role you carry in an organization, whether you are the security person, you are in customer service, you are in the teller, you are the doctor, you are the nurse, you are the lab person that's taking the blood, whoever you are, you have to be thinking about these three things. Another example is, I'm sure like most people, I hate people taking blood from me. I'm always afraid. And I think this is a general phobia for everybody. There's a hospital I used to go to in Lagos. There's the man in the lab, very nice man. Anytime you walk in, once he sees somebody is afraid, he'll just say, oh, don't worry, we'll be talking to you, we'll be distracting you. Before you know it, he's taking the blood. And apparently, many parents heard about his story and switched to that hospital just because of that. Because he will sing to the kids, he will, encourage them. Now, in his own mind, maybe when he was doing it, he was totally unconscious. He didn't even know what he was doing. But that act has led to the hospital delivering more value, enabling them to have more customers so they can make more money. So he's become very valuable to them. Now, tomorrow, if he's going to leave that job and go somewhere else, he has something to sell about himself. Because he can say, oh, I do this very well. And you can go and ask all my customers, they will tell you, everybody who comes to this hospital looks for me. And that's already a selling point. Such a person will never look for work. In fact, work will be looking for him. So we have to get our young people to start applying some of these principles very early in their minds to make themselves so valuable that it's the jobs that will be looking for them, not the other way around. I cited the example earlier that post-COVID, there are more jobs in America than people willing to take them. Not because there are not enough people, but because those people are not ready to accept the terms that their employers are giving them. So they are demanding certain things. They are the ones dictating to the employers what they want. And that's how we should be. We need to create young people that are so influential, and this is the influence part, so influential that people are looking for them. And so this takes into the last point, which is how do they present themselves? Many of these young people, they finish secondary school, they finish university, they can't even write a CV. They're going to internet cafe and they're asking the cafe people to type their CVs for them. No. You should be able to do it because it's a document that sells you. You should be able to develop it. And those are some of the things we teach them in the career skills, which Charles will take. Is how do you also present yourself in an interview? So many people go, I've interviewed many people, I myself have been interviewed, and they can't express themselves. They are so afraid because they really want the job. They don't know how to answer the questions. They have the knowledge, they have the skills, they have the right attitude, but it's not coming across. So we again have to help them package themselves. Like, yes, the word is packaging. Package themselves so that they present themselves to be people who are of value, that are going to enable the profitability of the business, and that they are well sought of wherever they see themselves. And so these are some of the things that are critical for these young people when they think about creating their own value. You have to drive your own self-learning. Self-learning, self-learning, self-learning. I think sometimes the system has put too much burden on teachers, which is not right. Parents expect teachers should do everything for their children. It's not possible. It's just not possible. Even the values, the behavior that they have, most of it they learn from you as the parent. They spend more time at home than in the school. So you can't expect me to do, and I have 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 students sometimes in a class. There is no way I'm going to impact all of them. So parents have to do more, but the students should also take control into their own life. You're not a child. In SS1, SS2, SS3, you're not a child. You should be able to do things for yourself, make decisions for yourself, enable yourself, create value for your own self. The beauty of the world now is everything is on the internet. There is nothing you cannot learn that is not on the internet. Nothing. You want to learn how to create a plane, is there. You want to learn the same bead making, the same soap making, all those things we're going to learn, it's there. You want to learn how to design a website, is there. You want to know how to design a logo, is there. You even want to learn photography, what this my very important gentleman here is doing, is there. You want to take courses on how to teach, is there. And most of it is free. It's free. It's on YouTube, it's on Coursera, it's on all these websites. Free, free. So sometimes I think, again, we need to challenge our students. They make excuses, they really do. It's not true that they don't have access to this information, and they should not wait for you to teach them the skill acquisition class. They should learn it themselves. I'll give you an example. There's a student of ours, Franklin Muhammadi. He said he wanted to be a mechanical engineer. So I challenged him. I said, okay, you want to be a mechanical engineer? Go and do an internship and come back. He said, well, what can I get internship? Is it Honda Motor? Where do I go to? I said, figure it out. So he goes and he tells me there's a mechanic behind his house. So he went and started spending all his weekends with it. He will not be watching. He just said, please, oh, I hope you're not, before you think I'm just one young boy that's spying on you for something, I just want to learn. I want to learn. You don't have to pay me. You don't even have to engage me. I just want to sit and watch you work. So he will sit there every day, Saturdays, like that, he'll come. Holidays, he's there, and then he came and he said to me, Miss Halima, I can now build a car. So I started laughing at him. How do you know you can build a car? So he said, explain to me. I said, but I cannot get what you're saying. So let me call somebody who is a mechanical engineer so that he can put you to the test. And after they finished having the conversation, the mentor told me, I'm so blown away. I cannot believe this young man has this depth of understanding, and he learned it from just observing a mechanic, you know. And so I said to him, okay, the next step is why don't you go and ask the mechanic if he will allow you to do one or two things. He said, okay. So he started giving me some small spare parts to just play around with and everything. And now he's in his final year in the University of Abuja, studying mechanical engineering with a focus on automobile engineering. And he's told me that he wants to build he wants to be the next Innoson Motors. and actually start building his own cars in Nigeria. This is how we inspire young people to do these things. And if I hadn't challenged him, he'll be waiting for me to take him to Honda or Camry or Toyota to show him how to know. It's all within you. It's around you. Several students have done that. Another one told me she wanted to be a doctor. I said, well, go to your nearest hospital and ask them if they're willing to take you for internship. She was looking at me. I said, go. So she went there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Several of them said no. Finally, she got one nurse who said, come, why are you coming to this place all the time? So she explained to her. She said, okay, but I'm not a doctor. Are you willing to be shadowing me? She said, yes. So she started shadowing her. And the nurse would take her to the doctor. She would introduce her. She now realized after a few months that actually she preferred nursing, not the doctor work. But you see, in her mind, when you say hospital, everybody just wants to be a doctor. They don't realize that there are all these other support staff that are so important. So now everything, as I said, is on the internet. People share on WhatsApp. It's there. And most of these students have access to these tools. Even if not in the school, they have access to their, even if not their parents, not in the school, their siblings, their neighbors, their friends, members of their church, their mosques. It's there. So we need to push them to be the ones to build their own skills. Build your own skills and not wait for skill acquisition class to be organized by wonderful Miss Neighbor or no. It shouldn't be like that. You should want to do those things yourself. So it's made some recommendations. And other things, very important. They don't realize this, but clubs and societies, volunteering in school. I have many students who believe there's one of my students. Once there's a program, it's him they call for audiovisual. He's the one who knows how to fix the public address system, all these kind of things. He became very valuable to his school. Now he's training to become a sound engineer. But it started from I just want to be the helper of my teachers so that they can do their program very well. So it starts small. Sometimes they themselves don't know this, but we have to encourage them. Clubs and societies is an important one. Jets Club, Agriculture Club, Core Values Club. There are so many of them out there. We have to encourage them to get involved. Pick up a leadership role. Challenge yourself. Do things. These are all ways for them to build relevant skills that they will use in life. Sports. People think that people are just playing ball. But you learn a lot of things from sports. Discipline, resilience, focus, teamwork, leadership, and all this. So very many skills. And then of course lastly, they're running their own businesses, which I'll speak to shortly, under the entrepreneurship. Find mentors. Find your mentors. These students need mentors. Part of what we do in the program is we connect them to mentors. Now, they talk to the mentors over the phone, so you don't get to meet them. But where possible, we organize something called Career Mentoring Open Day, where we invite mentors, architects, lawyers, educators, biomedical scientists, SSS, criminologists, soldiers, police, all kinds of professions who come and then they meet them, they speak to them, they encourage them. We encourage parents and guardians to attend. It's very important. Because, as I said, sometimes parents and guardians are the ones that influence what they do. In fact, sometimes force them to do certain things. So it's very important we also open the minds of parents. I had one student, Emmanuel Adoli in Garki, who wanted to be a videographer. And a film producer specifically. And his father said he just wants to go and become wayward. Why? Where did that conclusion come from? When we spoke to the father, he said, well, he's going to go and make all these Nollywood movies, all these stupid movies. I don't want it. But I said to him, but a filmmaker can be many things. There are documentaries, there are autobiographies, there's many things you can do. In fact, you can create a whole new industry around film that has nothing to do with what you see on Nollywood. So he met a Nollywood filmmaker, Mr. Osereke of the media, who inspired the father. After that conversation with him, he just came and he said to me, thank you, because I learned something. And he said, as a parent, you think you know everything. But today, somebody opened my eyes to something new. And he said, okay, Emmanuel, so now you have a mentor. And they smiled and they walked away. So the mentors are very important because they help make, I think, the work of the teacher much easier. Sometimes they just don't understand what opportunities are out there for their young people. And the mentors are very critical in that regard. Now, we encourage the students to find their own mentors. Don't just wait for us to give it to you. And your mentors could be in the church, they could be in the mosque, they could be your neighbors, they could be your parents' friends, they could be your siblings' friends, they could be anywhere around you. It's very important young people start to learn how to talk to people about their future, not just thinking, this is my sister's friend, so I should not be talking to them. No, you may learn something new from that interaction. So finding mentors is very, very critical for these young people.
Can a child combine education with football at the same time?
So back to your question, you can allow a child to do the both. Yes. You see, a child can equally discover his ability in football more than any other aspect of education. But you encourage him to do the both. A man, him or her, because these days we need to play football. You can encourage him or her to do the both. But unlike our parents, they feel that education is always the best and not other athletic whatever. They always prefer you go to school, acquire the basic form of education, go to class, be an engineer. And at times you discover that a child has a skill. Like those days, I used to remember my neighbor would say he wants to play like Ronaldo. This is Maradona, sorry. He wants to play like Ronaldo. And he went with the skill. And it favored him. He made money out of it. If not for debt, by then he should be a very good player. So you can encourage them to do the both.
Sheyi Olafejana. He also got his degree. He was playing football. Yes, he's a Nigerian. Both of them are Nigerians. He also got his degree and he's also playing football. So it's something you can combine the two and still make it. There's this football also. He got his degree in accounting, but he tried his luck in football and football failed. So you can combine the two things.
It takes a certain level of training to be able to be Messi or Ronaldo. Yes. So that in itself is an art that somebody can actually perfect. There are many people who also study specific degrees, as has been said, around sports, so sports science, the art of football. There are people who specifically, for instance, choose to support people in the athletic space. Whether it's like doctors or media agencies or representatives and what have you. So there are many professions also around the concept of sports, such as football. But also, as has been said, students can actually study. In fact, in places like the US, where people go to universities on what they call varsity scholarships, which is you're going to go and play for the sports team of your university, or you're going to go and play for the national team for that sport. You have to combine that with education. Whether you choose to do something in the field of sports or you want to do something completely different, it doesn't really matter. But they insist that you must get some kind of formal degree or schooling or education. So the two actually do go hand in hand. And what is most important is why the child, back to I think the conversations we're having, why is the child keen on pursuing football? Why are they doing it? Is it just because they think they want to live the glamorous life of Ronaldo? They want to make money or what? Because a lot of people make decisions based on what we said, money. But if it's a real passion, if there's a real purpose behind it, then it should be encouraged. But as has been said, there should be a structured education program around it, which many institutions actually currently offer.
My name is Mukhtar from Government Girls Secondary School, Jega. Mrs. Presenter, in your explanation, you highlighted some things on how do you become an entrepreneur, or why do I want to be an entrepreneur, where you mentioned things like value, profits, and the last one, influence. So I need more information about that influence. How is it effective in deciding why I want to become an entrepreneur, and what is influence itself as regards to this aspect? Thank you very much.
Influence is all about your brand. Your brand, your brand. If I just use, let's use a well-known brand, Coca-Cola. What does Coca-Cola meet user. How do you feel about it? Coca-Cola the brand. Does it evoke any emotion? Coca-Cola. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Coca-Cola to me is moral buster. Moral booster in the sense that if I take Coca-Cola, hardly I got annoyed. Most of the times if I enter class, if I take Coca-Cola before entering class, that very class must have enjoyed me very much. I hardly got annoyed. That is one of the driving factor why I take Coca-Cola. That is. My name is Murtala Abdullahi from Army Day Girls.
I also want to respond to this question. You mentioned Coca-Cola, even though we have different brands of this Supreme like Fanta and the rest. So to me, Coca-Cola is something subject to be rejected because I don't like the taste. And that was why I rejected it when it was given to me during the break period. So in general, the drinks like Fanta, yes, it's very interesting and welcome to me because when I take it, I will feel calm, especially when it is cold, and it will stimulate me in, carrying out the activities. Thank you very much.
Coke, Fanta, Sprite, several other things that we have built over time. Now, the feedback that we have gotten, it gives me strength. The students will enjoy me in class when I consume it. All these things is the influence that Coca-Cola as a brand has on you, the consumer. It's the same way as an individual. If you want to call yourself an entrepreneur, you have to evoke that same feeling in people. I'll use another personality. Dangote or Tony Elumelu, any of the two. Let's use the two of them as a quick start. Any views about any of these two personalities? Dangote or Tony Elumelu, you can pick any. Or talk about anyone.
Both of them has their own influence and it depends on the level. For Tony Elumelu, is more of the banking industry and is the chairman of UBA Group. So if we talk about employment personality, he's among those that have employed a lot of people. And he's also among those that engineered the banking reform in Nigeria. So both of them have their own influence. But Dangote, due to his into consumables and beverages, that's why we human beings or Nigerians, when Dangote name is being mentioned, it rings a bell. But Elumelu is behind the scene. Thank you.
That you are creating value, it's not just that you are adding to the profitability, but are you known to be creating that value and adding to that profitability? It's important. Otherwise, you end up getting lost in the system. You are doing a lot of good work, you are adding a lot of value, nobody knows you. So if you go for another job tomorrow, your employer is not going to value you. Not because you are not creating value and you have not added to profitability in the past, but because you have not presented and packaged yourself to have that influence. So the point of this third one is, and this is not about humility, is about presenting yourself in the light you want to be seen. Back to what the question we asked before, what do you want to be remembered for? You have to always have that in mind so that whatever influence you build as a young person is enabling you to get to that answer of who you want to be in the future and what you want to be remembered for. That's the influence part. And we can see it across different industries. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has created a whole influence for herself in her own industry. Ibukuna Woshika, Funke Opeke. There are so many people that are known for what they are known for in their industry. It didn't happen in a day. It took time. Dangote took time to become what he used to be. Tony Elumelu took time for him to become what he used to be. But it's that dogged focus over time that has enabled them to be who they are today. And it's the same, as I said, that we see in other industries. Somebody like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, she doesn't work for herself. She's worked for government, she's worked for the World Bank, she's worked for private sector, she's worked for different people, she's an entrepreneur. But everywhere Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala goes, she is valued because she has influence. Why? Because she has a track record for what she's done in her time as minister, for what she's done in her time as MD of World Bank, to the point that the whole world rallied around her for this WTO job. So it takes a lot of effort and dogged focus over time to get to that point of influence where people are fighting for you. It's not you fighting for yourself, it's other people that are so desperate for you to be there. And it's not because you're a Nigerian, it's not because you're a woman, but because you can do the job. And you've created that brand for yourself. That's what is key under this for the entrepreneurs. And it's the same principles, by the way, for the entrepreneurs. And we'll speak about it shortly. I think that's it for entrepreneurship. I think we'll take a break. To my next slide. Okay, we talked about this. Now, ingredients of a successful enterprise. Now, we talked about mindset already. The first most important thing, having the right mindset. If people are just running the business just so that they will make money sharp, it's never going to get sustained. At some point in the business, you either get tired of it, it will be too difficult and you just give up. So mindset is very important. We spoke about this. Then secondly, finding the right idea. Finding the right idea. Finding the right idea. People come up with so many ideas. Most of them may not be viable. We'll talk a bit about finding the right idea. Number 3. Knowing that the cause matters and that you have the capabilities to execute on it. A lot of people fail here. You see, Miss Mabel is a teacher. If a teacher wants to start a school, it's different from me, who's not a trained teacher, to say I want to start a school. It won't work. And this is the mistake a lot of people make. They have a business sense, they have the capital, somebody gave them house somewhere that they can use, they just go and start it. No. You have to develop the capability to actually execute on it. It's not to hire people to do it for you. You, the owner of the business, you, the founder, need to know what the vision is. Because you're going to be the one to direct how far that enterprise goes. Then, once you come up with the right idea, you now have to turn it into a business. This is the tipping point that's very, very difficult. Because suddenly you have to think about all the things that make a business successful. The right product, creating something of value. Will people pay? At what price? How will you cost it? What if EndSARS happens and the cost of your inputs doubles? Can you pass it down to your customers in an increment in price, or will you lose your customers? How do you market it? Where do you market it? To whom? Are there competitors? Are you selling in the right place? Where do you get the money to start the business? Where do you get the money to expand the business? Is it the right time to take a loan or not? All this now comes up when you are thinking about transforming that idea into an enterprise. Now, the next thing is to understand your market. Ms. Mabel's example is very nice because they went into a new area, there are no schools there, not even public schools. And everybody knows all children in such communities that are looking to go to school will need an outlet. She created that outlet. So she found the right market. Now, does it mean it to remain like that? No. Somebody may see that she's making money. I'll come and set up their own school. Thank you, sir. Aha, very good. I was confident. It's good, okay. So they are probably not doing the right thing. Yes, maybe they didn't have the right mindset. Yes, it's possible. And it's also possible, Miss Mabel, the value she's offering in that school is better. And the parents started to see, even if she's charging more than them, because they know that this woman knows how to run the school, they know that if I send my child to this school, they will get the right type of education, and that's why they are willing to pay. Then she has to price her school fees the right way, in a manner that will cover her costs and will give her a margin, a profit. Now, she may be starting up in her own home, but the school may become so big, you have to rent a new place. At that point in time, she has to consider rent that she was not adding maybe before, possibly. Or buy one and build. That's more cost. So she will have to find a way to recoup that cost somewhere. So these are all the things we discussed there. And then understanding your finances. Now, we'll get there. Most people don't know the per unit cost of their products. If you sell food, you know that, let's say, to cook this meal that we ate, you needed to buy 1 pack of rice, let's say. So you know that. You know you needed to buy 1 basket of tatase and tomato. You know that. You know you had to put 10 maggi inside, for instance. You had to use oil, you had to use this. But if I asked for the number of servings you had, what is the per unit cost of that plate? It would be very difficult for most business owners to answer that question. So that means they don't know whether they're running at a loss per plate or not. So costing is very important. And this is where the mathematics they're teaching us in class should come in handy. But we don't know how to apply it. We're angry at our math teachers. Why are you teaching me permutation? Why are you teaching me geography, trigonometry, algebra, what's all these things, statistics? But it comes in handy here. Yes. Because if you're going into a new market, you have to use probability. What is the probability that I'll get students? Is it worth me doing this business? Because even if you don't expend cost, you expend time, and time is money. You have to market, you have to go and talk to people, you have to create flyers, you have to find the teachers, you have to decorate the class, you have to buy whiteboard, board markers, notebook, uniform. These are all upfront costs that if you don't get it right, it's very painful. So, the financials are important. And then, developing the brand and how to market it. How do you market that brand? How do you know how to build that brand? And then, as I said, financing. So these are the ingredients we'll talk about today. Entrepreneurship, and then business canvas. Yes, business canvas. Yeah, business canvas, where I had value, influence, and then it goes into the next stage. The first thing we're going to do in this business canvas is come up with the problem. What is the problem? In her case, the problem she discovered was there was no school in the area. Okay? Second thing is customer segment. Who are my customers? She knows her customers are parents. But she started with nursery school. Yes. You started with lesson. No, it's primary school. Nursery and primary. Okay. So she started with lesson, now it's a nursery and primary. So her customer segment is nursery and primary. Okay, existing alternatives. At the time she started, she did not have competition. But now she also put the competition in there. So technically you have no competition. They have another one. Very nice. That means, by the way, people find competition as a problem. But this is a good thing. Because it means what she's doing is right. If nobody was competing with her, it's a problem. Even nobody has a competitor. Boa. Yes. They will see each other, they will greet each other, but they will fight in business. Yes. They have their own markets they serve. Like Boa serves mostly the north. Up to Niger, he exports into Niger and the likes. Both Dangote and Boa made money during COVID. The other thing that differentiates them is Boa said, I'll focus on my cement and all this other thing. You can go and do your refinery and other things. Dangote also invests in financial institutions. He's one of the major shareholders of Access Bank, for instance. People don't know this. So they have a different business model. Next is unique value proposition. Oh, people have stepped up. I was going to ask her what she thinks makes her school unique. We would like to know that. Maybe when she comes out, she will tell us. Now, the next thing is the market size. How many parents live in that area? how many kids could potentially go to her school? Once she exhausts all the kids in that school, where else can she go to? Sorry, in that area, where else can she go to? So, please, you can help us. What do you think makes your school unique? What makes your school unique? Special. Why do parents send their kids to school?
I don't know. The place is a very rural place. And we have raw kids that doesn't speak English and all. Most of their parents are not learning. So they believe that bringing their kids to our school, we just discover because we have trained good teachers. In no time they will begin to speak English. And I think that's what is really drawing the parents to our school. They will begin to speak English. In no time, they will learn something. So they find that all the monks in our place, they will say, they will carry taboo writing on their wall, all those stuff. And before you know what is happening, they will say, where are these kids coming from? And those things, I think, are major things that are bringing our customers.
Very interesting. Okay, interesting. So, trained teachers, impact, because people are learning